Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Touch. I'm Darwin Campbell. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the FSBC in Glendale for your encouragement. We hope, trust, and pray that as we start this week, you will be truly encouraged by the words that we have to say. One thing we want to do this morning is we want to start out with a prayer for our nation. Our nation needs healing in every way. It's a nation confused. It's a nation divided. It's a nation in need of prayer. If you've never prayed a day in your life, when you think about what's going on in the United States of America, it is high time that you take a look at prayer and what it can do for this nation. When I think about Exodus chapter 15 and verse 26, I am moved by the idea that God tells us He is a healer. But in order to receive the full healing, we must recognize that we're sick. And one of the problems in America right now is America does not recognize that it is a sick nation. It's a sick nation in that we have forgotten how to love one another. We have forgotten how to care for one another. We have forgotten how to remember to love thy neighbor as thyself. But if we want healing, God has given us the recipe and the ingredients for healing. But it all starts with us recognizing our illness, our sickness. Again, America is a sick nation. We have walked away from God and turned our backs on God, every man to himself, each to his own. And the result of that has been what we have seen in our streets, in our politics, in our government. Exodus chapter 15 and verse 26 puts it this way: If you are diligent to listen to the voice of the Lord your God, do what is right in his eyes, give ear to his commands, and keep his statutes, it says, I will put none of these diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your healer. At a time when we're fighting COVID-19, we're a sick nation. At a time when there's so much hatred and division, we are a sick nation. Everyone is looking around trying to find the answer, trying to find the cure, trying to find the solution, or just trying to find some relief. Our prayer is that this thing just doesn't blow up in our face and we end up fighting one another like we did during the Civil War. I hope, trust, and pray it doesn't get to that. That is why it is important for us to call on the Lord to be our healer. We need him in times like these. We must look to him in times like this. Too many people are looking to politics and government. There are no answers there. Too many people are trying to wait on a vaccine for COVID-19. There's no faith or no trust in it. The bottom line is we must recognize we're sick and that we need God as our healer. There are four key ways to receive his blessings and his healing in this crisis. And you say, well, what is that? Well, number one, listen to God's voice. We need to listen. We've been doing too much talking. We've been doing too much finger pointing. We've been doing too much fighting. We've been doing too much cursing at one another. It's time we stop and we listen. It's time we do what's right in God's eyes, not in our own. When we are trying to do things our own way, we see that there are 100,000 ways to do it. But when we do it God's way and we focus on God's way, it is the right way. And it sends us in a direction where we know how to love each other. We know how to treat each other. We know how to care about each other. We know how to have the kind of unity that brings this nation together and not divide it. Indeed, we must heed his commands and his principles, and then keep his words and his laws, not making and creating our own laws or making it up as we go. We have got to go back to the standard and the pattern of following God's laws and obeying his commands. If we are to receive the type of healing that we need as a nation. Now, there are some out there who don't want this healing. They don't want us to be united. But it is high time the children of God stand up and say, enough is enough. We're going to do this thing God's way. We're going to pray about it. We're going to unite, and we're going to crush all those who oppose unity and love and freedom in the United States of America. In 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, the Bible makes it clear. If my people, which are called by my name, humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from evil, then I will hear them in heaven and I will heal their land. You know, America, two things we've got to do. If we're going to change the course, if we're going to change the direction, we've got to seek God's face. We've got to pray, seek God's face, and turn from our evil, selfish, wicked ways. Because the evil, selfish, wicked ways are playing right into the hands of the devil, who wants to divide us, who wants to cause us to fight one another, who wants us to kill and destroy one another. That's what the devil wants. But we have got to be smarter than the devil, and we've got to say enough is enough. We've got to pray, seek God's face, call upon him so that we can have the healing. You know, the Bible clearly says, I will heal their land. You know, if we want healing, we've got to turn this thing around by recognizing the sins that we have committed. Our sins are many. Our sins are many. Division, chaos, the lack of love, the lack of compassion, turning our back on the cross of Jesus Christ. Our sins are many. But it's never too late to turn this thing around. If we humble ourselves, God will be our healer. Because there's death and danger in rebellion. There's death and danger in pursuing evil. There's death and danger in rebelling against God. There's death and danger in loving darkness more than light. It's time we get unselfish and start looking at how we can make this thing better. James 4:10 says in closing, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. What does that mean? He'll lift us up out of this angry wave that we're experiencing. He'll lift us up out of despair and depression. He'll lift us up out of bondage, sin, and our sickness. God is the healer. Let's start looking for healing in the right place. What are you waiting for, America? The time is now to act before it's too late. A respectful return to obedience means that we return to God's favor. This is our prayer for this nation today. The Morning Touch is brought to you by the FSBC in Glendale for your encouragement. I hope you've been encouraged to ask God for healing and unity and love to return to this land. Freedom will be free as long as we examine where we are and we treat the sickness that we have today. God bless you and keep you, and we'll see you again next time on The Morning Touch. Have a great week.